Marrying more than one person or practicing polygamy is legal in a few countries and regions around the world. However, the legality, social acceptance, and cultural practices around polygamy vary greatly depending on the country and its laws. Here's an overview of where and how polygamy can be practiced legally. Polygamy is legal and culturally accepted in many predominantly Muslim countries, as Islamic law, or Sharia, permits a man to marry up to 4 wives, provided that he treats them equally. Some of these countries have specific rules governing the practice. Saudi Arabia. Polygamy is legal, but a man must be able to treat all wives equally and fairly. The marriage contract is subject to Islamic law, and the man must gain consent from his existing wives to marry additional women. United Arab Emirates. Like Saudi Arabia, men can marry up to 4 wives under Islamic law, with similar requirements for fairness and equity between wives. However, in the UAE, women may request to include certain clauses in their marriage contracts, including stipulations about polygamy. Qatar polygamy is legal, but men must demonstrate the ability to support multiple wives and treat them equally. Women can include clauses in their marriage contracts limiting polygamy. Jordan polygamy is allowed, though it is less common in practice. Men who want to marry more than one woman need to apply for permission from the court, and they must prove they can financially support multiple wives. Kuwait polygamy is permitted, but a man must get the consent of his first wife before marrying a second. There are also financial requirements for men to ensure they can support multiple families. Morocco. While polygamy is legal, it is restricted and rare. A man must demonstrate his ability to support multiple wives financially and must seek permission from the court. The practice has become less common in urban areas, and many women now include clauses in marriage contracts prohibiting polygamy. Some countries allow polygamy under specific conditions or for certain religious or ethnic groups. In these countries, the practice is often heavily regulated, and there may be restrictions on the number of spouses or requirements for financial support. Indonesia polygamy is legal but restricted. A man can have up to 4 wives under Islamic law, but he must demonstrate his ability to support them financially and treat them equally. However, the practice is less common in urban areas. Malaysia polygamy is legal for Muslims under Islamic law but requires court approval. Men wishing to marry additional wives must demonstrate their ability to support multiple families. Nigeria polygamy is legal in many regions, especially in the northern states, where Islamic law is practiced. Polygamous marriages are common in certain ethnic groups, but women often have the legal right to refuse a polygamous marriage. Tanzania polygamy is legal, particularly for certain ethnic groups. However, it is less common in urban areas, and the practice is generally subject to certain restrictions. In some countries, polygamy may be allowed for specific cultural, religious, or ethnic groups, or the practice may not be formally regulated. South Africa. Polygamy is legal for communities that follow customary law, such as certain African ethnic groups. It is governed by the Recognition of Customary Marriages Act, which allows men to marry multiple wives, but they must follow traditional customs and ensure fair treatment. India polygamy is legal for Muslims under Islamic personal law, but it is not allowed for people of other religious communities, like Hindus, Sikhs, and Christians. The practice is rare and culturally specific to certain regions. Ghana polygamy is legal in Ghana, particularly for men following customary law. However, it must be done according to traditional practices and is regulated by the marriage ordinance. In many countries, polygamy is technically illegal, but it is still practiced by certain communities or groups. These cases are often not legally recognized, and individuals may face legal penalties or difficulties in securing official documentation for multiple marriages. In the United States, polygamy is illegal across the entire country. However, some religious groups, such as certain sects of Mormonism, practice polygamy in some states like Utah, though it's not legally recognized. Polygamous marriages in the U.S. may be prosecuted, though some individuals continue the practice informally. In Canada, polygamy is illegal, but certain groups, mainly religious or immigrant communities, still engage in polygamous practices. Polygamous marriages are not legally recognized, and the practice is subject to prosecution. In Australia, polygamy is illegal, but some individuals from cultural backgrounds where polygamy is accepted may still engage in the practice, though it will not be recognized by Australian law. In some places, there is no specific law either banning or explicitly permitting polygamy. In these regions, the practice may still occur informally, but it won't necessarily be recognized or regulated by the government. In the Central African Republic, polygamy is widely practiced, especially in rural areas, and there are no strict laws governing or prohibiting the practice. In Chad, polygamy is commonly practiced, particularly in rural areas, and there is little legal regulation on the practice. Equality and fairness. In many Islamic countries where polygamy is legal, men must demonstrate that they can treat all wives equally, both emotionally and financially. This often means being able to support multiple households and providing for each wife in a fair and just manner. Court approval. In some countries like Morocco, Tunisia, and Indonesia, men must seek approval from a court to marry more than one woman, and this is often contingent on proving financial ability and equitable treatment. Women's rights. In many countries, women may have the legal right to request a marriage contract that prohibits polygamy or include clauses that give them more rights in case of polygamous marriages, such as financial compensation or other protections. Polygamy is legal and practiced in various parts of the world, most notably in parts of Africa, the Middle East, and South Asia. While Islamic law permits men to marry multiple wives under certain conditions, many countries have added their own legal requirements or restrictions to regulate the practice. In many Western countries, polygamy is illegal, but certain religious or cultural communities still engage in it informally. Always be aware of both the legal context and cultural norms when considering the practice of polygamy in any given country or region.